What's up, everybody? Welcome to In Love with Horror. My name is AJ.
I'm Christy.
And y'all, welcome to the continuation of our Overlook Film Festival films that we watched, spoiler-free reviews. So the next film on the list is going to be Abraham's Boys. Now, this is the latest film from Natasha Kermani. I haven't seen any of her other like feature-length films. I did see the dope-ass short she did in VHS. I think it was VHS 85, I believe, the Techno God one. Super dope. Have you seen any of her other feature projects? Okay. So this was our first experience with her feature-length projects. But Abraham's Boys, let me read y'all just a synopsis off of IMDb. Following the events of Dracula, Abraham Van Helsing moves his two sons, Max and Rudy, to the U.S. in an attempt to escape their past. It's based on the spine-tingling story by Joe Hill. Now, of course, Joe Hill being adapted from the short story he did, but Natasha Kermani actually wrote the script for this film. It stars Titus Welliver as Abraham Van Helsing, so the head of household, the father here, and we got Jocelyn Donahue playing Mina Van Helsing, the wife and the mom, and then we got the two sons, Max Van Helsing, who's played by Brady Hepner, and Rudy Van Helsing, who's played by Judah Mackey. Now, Christy actually had the opportunity to interview the actors who played the two children, Brady and Judah. I don't know if you wanted to speak to that, because she also interviewed them and Joe Hill as well. I don't know if you want to add anything with that, Ben.
And Natasha Kermani as well.
Oh, nice. Okay, I forgot. Yeah, you got to interview her too.
Did you ask me about the movie or what?
Oh, no, I was asking, I didn't know if you want to say anything about having the opportunity to interview them, if they gave you any extra insight before we dive into the thoughts of the movie.
Oh, well, they did talk a lot about how they themselves kind of like just spent a lot of time together. The kids did, trying to like develop that connection, I guess, the chemistry between them as brothers. So they played like a lot of video games together, played stuff like that. I did talk to Joe Hill, and I kind of just asked him more about like what it was like working with Natasha as a director, and kind of like how he felt about seeing his short story becoming film, things like that. And he talked about just her as being like a creative person and being able to take his story and create like a full-length movie out of it, because it is a short story that it's based on. And then he just spoke to just the direction that she took with the film, and then herself talked about from a woman's perspective, creating this film that's about a man and his relationship with his two sons in this case. But yeah, it was really cool. I think only the one I did with Joe Hill and Natasha up right now on Instagram and TikTok, but I'll try to get the other one with the boys up at some point too. But yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, no, that's dope. That's why I wanted to see if they gave you anything you can add to the context of the film before we actually dive into our thoughts. So with all that set up, Abraham's Boys, what'd you think about it, Ben?
Okay, so yeah, this one, is because I like the story of Dracula. I like vampire films. I think that they nailed the allure and fear around like this Dracula character really well. Like there's iterations where we kind of like see his influence take a hold within this family, and I think that part is done really good. But this is another one that was dialogue heavy. Like it was a lot of talking in this one.
It is,
and a lot of like long shots that don't really add to the story, in my opinion. We kind of like spend a lot of time with like their like day-to-day activities that to me are kind of boring. And like one of the kids chopping wood, stuff like that is just kind of boring. But what else? I don't know. It seemed like a short film that was made into a long film.
Yeah,
so like
I agree with that. 100%.
Stretched out. But I do like the look of the film. I thought it looked really cool.
It looks great because it was the film was done in 4:3. So yeah, it has that adds to the style of the era a little bit.
Right. And there's like one scene that's done in black and white, which is probably my favorite scene. I think it was done really well. The way that it really like dialed into that like gothic horror element really, really well. And I'm like, I almost kind of wish he had did the whole thing in black and white. I think that would really,
that'd be
really
a cool release. I agree. That'd be actually a cool release.
I think it would be really cool. But I think the performance, especially from the dad, Titus, who plays Abraham, was super good. Like this dude was scary as fuck.
He was menacing.
I was like, yeah, I don't want this guy to be my dad.
Yep.
And like even like his, not just how he is with the kids, but like with everybody, like even his wife, like he comes off as like this really hard ass dude. Excuse me. And I think he does it really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I get the way he looks and his presence on screen, I think it's just super terrifying. So I think that that he himself did a really good job in his character.
Yeah.
And even the dynamic between the boys, right? You have that dynamic with his older brother, little brother, him looking out for the younger brother type of thing. I think the performances were pretty, generally well.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, to me, the story just was like, it kind of dragged a lot. And then when we got to these moments where it's supposed to be kind of like more scary, I guess it wasn't really like that tension wasn't built properly or stacked upon itself enough to where those moments would be scary or effective enough, in my opinion. But I really did like the look of stuff, and I like Titus a whole lot. I think he did a really good job.
Yeah, Titus was super excellent. Like his presence, his range, of course. Because he goes through a lot of different emotions throughout the film. On a drop of the hat, he can go from being pissed off to smiling, and we get to see a lot of that played throughout this film. His performance is excellent. I feel like all the performances were really well, because there's a range of emotions throughout this film, from playful to terrifying, you know what I'm saying, and everything in between. But I agree. My main issue is whenever you take a short story that just doesn't have a lot of material to it, you have to find ways to stretch it to feature length. And that's very hard to do. And I do feel like Natasha did as best of a job she could, because I feel like this is a decent film, but I think what prevents it from being great is the fact that, you're almost trying to put filler in to get it to feature length. And as a result, you have those kind of slower paced moments where it doesn't feel interesting. We're just kind of like, okay, like when we're going to start getting to the moments that really start to contribute to what's going on.
Yeah, I honestly think these like Western style of horror films, to me, always have this problem. Like other films, like what initially comes to mind is another movie called The Wind, where this woman who is out on this prairie land, and there's something out that's coming to get her, right? Like, but she's out here and it's just her. And I feel like these types of films, it's very hard to feel stuff because you don't have a lot of things that you can fill it with. These people don't have like phones or
Right.
cars, or what I'm saying? Like these people are out in the middle of nowhere.
Middle of nowhere.
You know what I'm saying? Now, in this particular film, there are two other characters that kind of show up a little bit. Well, one other character who kind of just shows up with these people who are working on the railroad type of thing. They kind of like interject into the story to kind of help with that. But it still, to me, becomes just like a drag a lot of times.
Yeah, it definitely drags. And I almost feel like if it was a little bit shorter, which maybe would take it out of that feature length, zone, I think it would be a lot better. But that being said, I still think that it's decent. I'd still watch this shit over Nosferatu any day, because I think Nosferatu.
You really didn't like Nosferatu.
Nosferatu is truly boring, but it's still beautiful. It's still a beautiful film, and there's a lot of beautiful moments in this film. Especially, there's a lot of like, we don't, again, it's spoiler free. But there's moments where we have like kind of like dream sequences and things like that, and those visually look really good. How they show Dracula in his presence and stuff like that looks super dope. Like their version of Dracula in this film honestly looks dope as hell. I'm
Yeah.
like, I want to see a film with that version.
I agree with that.
In totality, he looks fucking dope. I love the costume and design for that Dracula. We don't get a lot of it, but
We don't.
that little bit we did made me want more. I was like, oh, that shit actually looks dope as hell. But there's a lot of great messaging in this film. Ones that, you know, I'm not even sure if they intended it to be this way or not, but I even get messaging about like PTSD and different things like that. You know, obviously doing what you can for your family. Family's obviously a big thing with that, legacy, and things like that. So a lot of, I think, dope messaging that comes through the story, the what happens, dialogue, and the visuals, of course.
Mhm.
But yeah, overall, it was like, it's okay. You know, that's kind of how I walked away. It was like, okay, that's cool. Like,
Yeah.
that's cool. I'd probably watch the back half of it again. Like, I would kind of, you know, I'd probably skip forward. You know what I'm saying? Because once it gets going, I think it's actually pretty dope. And just the concept is really cool. We've never read the short story that Joe Hill wrote for Abraham's Boys, but it definitely seems interesting. And I'm kind of curious to see what all is in that short story. But any final thoughts, man? No? Yeah, check out Abraham's Boys. I don't know.
There's no release date as of right now.
Okay, yeah, I don't know when it's gonna come.
But it did get picked up by Shudder.
Yeah.
But there's no release date as of yet.
Yeah, if you are a big like Dracula person, like you're gonna want to watch this. I think.
Yeah.
I think so.
It's like, yeah, you want to watch it just because of the content of the story. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you get like the little callbacks to the story and stuff like that.
For sure.
I think people will find that interesting. And it's just going with managed expectations, and I think you'll be fine. Yeah. And I think this would be a dope film to add to your. I don't know if they'll ever do a physical release, but if they do, it'd be a dope film to add to your collection of Dracula films or relatable Dracula films. But yeah, that's what we think about Abraham's Boys, y'all. Make sure that you are subscribed and following us, because again, we're doing like a spoiler-free review series for all the films that we saw at the Overlook Film Festival. This is the second video in this series. The other video that we did before this was The Shrouds. We got more coming. We got Clown in the Cornfield, It Ends, and Life Hack coming as well. These are reviews that you're definitely going to want to see to hear what we think about it before you get the opportunity to watch it yourself in theaters or streaming at some point. So make sure y'all subscribe to YouTube and following us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, because we're putting it on all those things, y'all. But thanks for checking out this review. We'll see you on the other reviews. We out. Peace.